Over this last month, we've had a group of subject matter experts on cavity barriers, fire doors, and automatic opening vents come together on individual sessions on each of those different asset types. And they come from different aspects. They might be development, design, manufacturing, operations, etc. And what we ask them to do is to answer some specific questions, which that's what are the risks that a particular asset type, let's say a cavity barrier, is protecting against. And it then became clear in the round tables that there was lots of examples of things where the fire door or the cavity barrier was its performance was undermined because of things that are done to it. So we started to document those. We've then got the critical one that we need is the information that's needed about an asset type, so that we can then make sure it performs correctly. Then moving on, what specific tasks need to be carried out against those items to ensure that they're going to be performed correctly. The question of competency came up regularly, and it was a given that we need people to be competent and properly trained and certified where possible. But the important thing is that in itself isn't enough. We also need the method statements and the rest of it. And the other final bit was looking at how change management could be able to record when one product is swapped out for an alternative one, either during the design and construction phase, or more importantly, during the life of the building. So these are the answers to the first questions there. So what are the risks that a cavity barrier is mitigating? Then the specific things that happen. So there's quite a clear list there based on the experience of our experts. What actually can be done? People drilling through barriers, putting things up. Then the information itself. Now that's quite a rich data set there of information, which we're actually going to go and simplify or classify in the next level down to say which of this information is needed for different actors and different purposes. So then what method statements, what do we actually need to do? And the intention here, ideally, we'd like to have an explicit set of tasks, which then people can then pick up and reuse. So we've got an auditable set of actions that each competent person needs to be carrying out at each stage. And then the competency itself, what do we need to know about competency and who should be doing the training? Obviously, it ought to be a certified body, but it's also the case that manufacturers need to also to be able to provide their product specific information and training. And then finally, how should products be changed? How should we record those? So this becomes a living data set that what we're going to do is then hopefully get continuously experts to keep it up to date and record where things potentially go wrong. So the purpose of why we're using the templater here is to try and turn this 20-page document that people would normally have to read and interpret. We're trying to turn it into proper machine readable data that can be sliced and diced and presented to people when they need to do a particular task, or when they need a certain set of information in a certain context. So that's why taking this document, which is really valuable, this information, we're then interpreting it into the templater so that it can be reused.
Loads of ideas are forming in my head for what we could do as a demonstration on this. So I'm glad what we're doing is starting off at the high level, because I can show quite easily how we can get into deeper levels and bring people on a journey with us. Most people might have already stopped the video earlier when I showed that EAD document because it's information overload. But what I think is actually these questions are actually generic enough, and I think they were designed deliberately, if I look at the original document, to be generic so you can apply them across multiple asset types. And then this particular document is the specific question, like just literally substitute the word asset for cavity barriers. And then this is the answer that the group has come up with already for this asset. if this was a question in a template term, these are the answers that a collection of experts have come together to provide an answer as an example answer. It may not be complete. It may be complete at this point in time, but in future it might need to be extended and so on. There's no one saying that anything that we're producing here is not going to be evolving as the needs in industry evolve.